Welcome to Global 24, your trusted source for breaking news, deep insights, and stories shaping Africa and the world. Stay informed, stay connected, and experience the news that matters. Right here, 24/7. In the vast expanse of Africa, from the golden dunes of the Sahara to the lush highlands of Ethiopia, a silent transformation is underway. It's not a coup, not a protest, not another geopolitical maneuver. It's a revolution of a different kind, one driven not by bullets or ballots, but by energy. For decades, Africa was seen as a continent to be powered, dependent on imported fuels, foreign investors, and outdated infrastructures. But today, that narrative is crumbling. From the winds of Kenya's Lake Turkana to the blazing sun of the Sahel, Africa is harnessing what it has always possessed in abundance: natural power. At the heart of this movement lies a staggering figure: $10 trillion. That's the estimated value of Africa's emerging green energy sector: solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, hydrogen, and the mineral wealth that powers them all. Lithium in Zimbabwe, cobalt in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and rare earths in Tanzania. The new gold rush is green, and the world is watching. The irony? The very nations that once exploited Africa's raw materials to fuel their own industrial revolutions are now racing to catch up. Europe's energy grids are strained, America's clean transition is slowed by politics, and Asia's megacities are choking on emissions. Yet in Africa, a new dawn rises, clean, vast, and self-sustaining. In countries like Namibia, gigantic solar farms are sprouting across the desert. Morocco has built Noor Ouarzazate, one of the largest concentrated solar power plants on the planet, visible from space, capable of powering over 1 million homes. Kenya's geothermal fields in the Rift Valley are already supplying 90% of its electricity from renewables. Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam, despite controversy, now symbolizes a continental will to generate power, to generate change. But this revolution is about more than megawatts. It's about sovereignty, energy independence as a new form of freedom. For the first time in modern history, Africa is not waiting for handouts or technology transfers. Instead, nations are forming alliances: the African Green Hydrogen Alliance, the African Renewable Energy Initiative, and new trade blocs like AfCFTA that prioritize intra-African energy exchange. Across the Sahel, vast green corridors are being planned, solar grids stretching thousands of kilometers, linking capitals and communities, turning barren land into networks of power and prosperity. In West Africa, young innovators are designing microgrids that electrify entire villages without a single fossil fuel connection. And behind it all is a generational shift: Africa's youth, the continent's most powerful renewable resource. With more than 60% of its population under 25, Africa is not only producing energy, it's producing engineers, coders, climate scientists, and entrepreneurs who see green energy not as a foreign dream, but as their birthright. Yet as Africa rises, the West faces a reckoning. The old system, where African minerals powered European factories and American cars, no longer holds. Governments from Paris to Washington now scramble to secure supply chains for lithium and cobalt, as African leaders like Ibrahim Traoré, Felix Tshisekedi, and Samia Suluhu insist: no more raw exports without local value addition. This isn't just economics, it's a power shift, literally. The balance of global energy influence is tilting southward. The continent once dismissed as underdeveloped now holds the keys to the clean technologies of tomorrow: electric vehicles, solar batteries, and hydrogen power. But transitions are never easy. Africa's path to a $10 trillion energy economy is lined with challenges: infrastructure gaps, financing hurdles, and political instability. Foreign interests still lurk, eager to rebrand old forms of control under the banner of green partnerships. The question remains: will Africa truly own this revolution, or will it once again be leased out in the fine print of global deals? On the ground, the movement feels unstoppable. In Ghana, startups are transforming agricultural waste into bioenergy. In Nigeria, solar rooftops now power entire neighborhoods beyond the reach of the national grid. In South Africa, despite years of blackouts, local entrepreneurs are installing mini solar grids faster than the government can regulate them. From Dakar to Dar es Salaam, a pattern emerges, one of resilience, innovation, and quiet defiance. Africa is no longer begging for light. It is building its own sun. The implications stretch far beyond the continent. As Europe faces an energy crisis and America debates its green transition, Africa's renewable boom stands as both an opportunity and a warning. The West once led the Industrial Revolution, but this time, Africa may lead the sustainable revolution, with clean energy, green jobs, and homegrown innovation at its core. And perhaps most striking of all is the symbolism. The same sun that once burned down colonial plantations now fuels solar panels. The same rivers once used for trade routes now turn turbines. The same winds that carried explorers inland now power the next generation of industry. Africa's $10 trillion green revolution is not just about technology. It's about reclaiming destiny. It's about proving that progress doesn't need to come at the planet's expense, and that the global South can set the terms of its own future. In the boardrooms of Brussels, the corridors of Washington, and the skyscrapers of Beijing, policymakers whisper, "We may be too late." The balance of innovation is shifting, and Africa is no longer the periphery of global progress. It is becoming the center of tomorrow's clean economy. As the world watches, a new era is dawning, one powered by sunlight, wind, water, and willpower. The West may still hold the patents, but Africa holds the promise. And this time, the current of history flows from south to north. Because in this revolution, Africa is not catching up. It's leading. Across the vast landscapes of Africa, from the sweeping deserts of the Sahara to the green highlands of Ethiopia, a new story is unfolding. It is a story not of conflict or poverty, but of power, the power to generate, to innovate, and to transform. For decades, Africa has been described as a continent of untapped potential. Now, that potential is being realized through an energy revolution unlike anything the world has seen before. The continent that once exported its raw materials and imported its electricity is now building its own future, one powered by sunlight, wind, water, and human will. At the center of this transformation lies a staggering figure, $10 trillion. That is the estimated value of Africa's emerging green energy economy, an economy that could reshape global energy markets and challenge the old order of industrial power. The green revolution in Africa did not begin with a single event or nation. It grew out of necessity, out of long blackouts, fuel shortages, and the urgent need to provide electricity to hundreds of millions who had lived without it. But what began as a struggle for access has become a movement for sovereignty. From the wind farms of Lake Turkana in Kenya to the shimmering solar fields of Morocco's Ouarzazate, Africa is building an energy network rooted in independence. Kenya already generates more than 90% of its electricity from renewables. Morocco, through projects like Noor Ouarzazate, now powers over 1 million homes and exports energy across borders. Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam, spanning the Blue Nile, symbolizes a continental will to produce, not to depend. In the past, Africa's natural wealth powered the industrial revolutions of others. Its minerals filled European factories and fueled Western economies. Today, those same resources, lithium, cobalt, nickel, and rare earth elements, are the foundation of a global green transition. Yet this time, African nations are determined that the wealth will stay home. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, where nearly 70% of the world's cobalt is found, new policies demand that no raw minerals leave without local processing. Zimbabwe has imposed similar restrictions on lithium exports, requiring foreign companies to build refineries inside the country. Across the continent, a message is echoing. Africa will not be the world's quarry. It will be the world's workshop. At the heart of this shift is a simple truth. The energy transition cannot happen without Africa. Every electric car, every smartphone battery, every wind turbine depends on the minerals and innovations now taking root on African soil. As the West scrambles to secure supply chains, African nations are negotiating from a position of strength not seen since independence. But the revolution is not only underground. It is visible in the skies, on rooftops, and across endless plains. In Namibia and Botswana, the sun blazes nearly 300 days a year, providing ideal conditions for large-scale solar generation. New projects aim to turn this abundance into green hydrogen, a fuel that could power industries and transport systems worldwide. In South Africa, the shift toward renewable energy has become a national priority as coal-based plants age and falter. In West Africa, rural communities once cut off from national grids now light their homes through microsolar networks and battery systems managed by local cooperatives. This is not charity. It is innovation born of urgency. The African continent, home to the world's youngest population, faces the dual challenge of creating jobs and combating climate change. For the youth of Africa, the green energy sector offers more than power. It offers purpose. Thousands of engineers, technicians, and entrepreneurs are emerging from universities and technical schools, eager to design the systems that will define the next century. Governments are responding. The African Union's Agenda 2063 envisions a continent driven by sustainable energy and intra-African trade. The African Continental Free Trade Area, already the largest in the world by membership, has begun to facilitate cross-border energy projects and the movement of technology. The African Development Bank's Desert to Power initiative aims to generate 10 gigawatts of solar energy across 11 Sahel countries, bringing electricity to over 250 million people. Behind these statistics lies a deeper story, the reclaiming of agency. For generations, Africa's development was shaped by external prescriptions, loans, aid programs, and conditional investments. Today, the financing of Africa's green future increasingly comes from within. Sovereign wealth funds, regional banks, and public-private partnerships are emerging as the backbone of new infrastructure. Still, the transformation faces formidable obstacles. Many nations remain burdened by debt, inadequate transmission lines, and political instability. Corruption and mismanagement threaten progress in some regions. The initial cost of renewable technology, though falling, can still be prohibitive. And while the continent produces critical minerals, refining them at scale requires expertise and capital that are still developing. Foreign interests have taken notice. Western powers, once complacent, now court African governments with renewed urgency. The United States has launched clean energy partnerships through initiatives like Power Africa. The European Union has pledged billions under its Global Gateway Plan, hoping to counter China's expanding influence. Beijing, for its part, continues to invest heavily in African infrastructure, though African leaders are increasingly wary of unequal terms. Amid this complex geopolitics, Africa's position is unique. For the first time in modern history, it stands at the center, not the margins, of a global economic shift. Control over clean energy supply chains translates into political leverage, and with every new solar plant or lithium refinery, that leverage grows. Across the Sahel, where climate change has intensified drought and displacement, renewable projects are doubling as tools of stability. Solar-powered irrigation systems are turning arid fields into farms. Mini grids are providing electricity to schools, clinics, and small businesses, creating livelihoods where conflict once prevailed. In these communities, energy is not an abstract goal. It is the foundation of peace. The economic potential is immense. Analysts estimate that by 2050, Africa's green energy economy could be worth over $10 trillion, employing millions and exporting clean power to Europe and Asia. But beyond numbers, it represents a philosophical transformation, a shift from dependency to self-reliance, from extraction to creation. The continent's natural advantages are undeniable. Africa holds 60% of the world's best solar resources yet accounts for only 1% of installed capacity. Its rivers could provide 1/5 of the world's hydroelectric power. Its wind corridors, stretching from the Horn of Africa to the Cape, could generate more electricity than the entire European Union currently consumes. Unlocking this potential is no longer a dream. It is a necessity. The West, meanwhile, faces its own reckoning. Industrial powers that once dictated energy policy globally now struggle with aging infrastructure, policy divisions, and limited access to critical minerals. While Europe confronts energy insecurity and America debates green legislation, Africa is quietly building what some call the second industrial revolution, a clean one. In this new equation, the question is not whether Africa will join the green transition, but whether the rest of the world can keep up. As technology becomes more affordable and investment more localized, Africa's decentralized energy systems could leapfrog traditional grids altogether, just as mobile phones once bypassed landlines. Villages that never had poles or wires now communicate, trade, and thrive through renewable microgrids and digital finance. The symbolism is powerful. The same sun that once bore witness to colonial exploitation now powers independence. The same winds that carried explorers inland now drive turbines of self-determination. Across the continent, a quiet confidence is emerging, a belief that Africa can define its destiny through innovation rather than imitation. This revolution is not uniform. Each nation walks its own path. In Egypt, solar installations line the desert outside Aswan, part of a national strategy to generate 42% of electricity from renewables by 2035. In Rwanda, one of Africa's cleanest economies, smart grids and e-mobility programs are rapidly expanding. Senegal's Plan Emergent integrates renewable energy with industrialization, seeking to make the country a regional hub for green manufacturing. Everywhere, partnerships are evolving. The private sector, once cautious, now sees opportunity in Africa's rising demand. Startups are developing pay-as-you-go solar kits, mobile payment systems, and battery technologies designed for rural life. Women are leading cooperatives that assemble panels, install systems, and train the next generation of technicians. This is a grassroots movement as much as a government agenda. And at the global level, voices from Africa are growing louder in climate negotiations. Leaders demand fair financing, technology transfer, and recognition that the continent, though least responsible for global emissions, faces the harshest impacts of climate change. The Green Revolution is, in part, a statement of justice, a declaration that Africa will no longer wait for permission to act. As progress accelerates, attention turns to sustainability. Experts warn that without careful governance, the race for green minerals could reproduce the same inequalities as the fossil fuel era. Environmental protections, community rights, and transparent contracts are essential to ensure that the benefits of this revolution reach ordinary citizens. Many nations are learning from past mistakes, insisting on local ownership and environmental responsibility. In the end, the green energy revolution is about more than economics or technology. It is about identity. It is about a continent long defined by scarcity now defining itself through abundance. It is about young Africans looking to the future and seeing possibility rather than limitation. In cities like Accra, Nairobi, and Kigali, you can feel the pulse of this change. Solar rooftops glitter in the sun. Electric buses glide through streets once filled with diesel fumes. Farmers track rainfall with mobile apps linked to weather satellites. And students study late into the night under lights powered by the energy of their own land. For the West, Africa's rise presents both challenge and opportunity. Cooperation could mean shared prosperity. Competition could mean a widening divide. The world's energy future may well depend on how these relationships evolve. But one fact is undeniable. The narrative has changed. No longer the dark continent of outdated stereotypes. Africa is emerging as a beacon of sustainable growth. Its journey is neither simple nor guaranteed, but it is real. The green energy revolution is not a vision of tomorrow. It is happening today, in thousands of communities across 54 nations. As the sun sets over the Sahara, its last rays reflect off panels that will power homes through the night. From that light, a message travels across the world. The age of dependence is ending. A new current is flowing, one born of resilience, innovation, and unity. This is the dawn of Africa's $10 trillion green revolution. And this time, the power is truly in African hands. You've been watching Global 24, your window into Africa and the world. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on the latest stories shaping our continent and beyond. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a report. And join the conversation in the comments below. Until next time, this is Global 24, bringing Africa closer to the globe 24 hours a day.